Hello, I am Professor Zeeb, and I am going to teach you about the phantom limb. The phantom limb is just one of those really interesting topics. It's one of my favorite topics of all time in psychology, just because it's so weird and interesting. I think it's very intriguing. So let's learn about the phantom limb. So we're going to go to our slides here. Okay, so the phantom limb, basically what this means is a person is reporting sensing a missing body part. So for example, let's say they've had some kind of amputation where they're missing their leg or their hand or something. This person reports feeling sensation from that missing limb. These sensations could be anywhere from a tingling sensation or possibly pain from that missing limb. Or even movement, even the sensation that they can move that particular body part in some cases. This sensation can last anywhere from days to weeks, months, or even years in some cases. So it's really kind of an interesting concept. So what we've discovered is that with this particular sensation, the answer to this lies in the brain. So to kind of explain this, we're going to go to the next slide here. And one of the areas of the brain we're going to talk about is called the primary somatosensory cortex. So just to kind of review a little bit, this particular part of the brain is found in the parietal lobe, which is on the top of the cerebral cortex. It is a strip of tissue that is touch sensitive for various parts of the body. So for example, as you can see here in the slide, it is literally mapped out into different segments. And we have axons leading to those particular body parts, to the brain area and tissue segments, if you will. So for example, if we look here, if someone had touched your nose, the sensors in your skin of your nose would send an action potential up to your brain through the axons to this region of the brain, and that's why you would detect that sensation of someone touching your nose. And you're like, wow, someone's touching my nose. You would feel that, and that's due to this part of the brain. So you can see it's literally mapped out into different segments leading to different body parts. So what we're seeing here with the phantom limb experience is that, let's say the person has amputated their hand. For some reason, they've lost their hand, and they can still feel sensation in that missing limb. So how is that actually happening? If we look at the slide here, now remember, originally there would be axons connected to that particular brain region. And so after the amputation, those axons will start to wither and die through lack of use and stimulation. It's very similar to how when you stop working out and you lose muscle mass and things like that. It's very similar with the nervous system, is that those axons to those neurons would actually weaken and perish and die. So theoretically, what we're saying is that there's no connection to that missing part. So how in the world are they still feeling a missing limb? I mean, this is impossible, correct? Because they don't have any neurons leading from that body part because it's missing to that part of the brain. What we've discovered, if we go to our next slide here, is that after a while, certain axons may actually grow and sprout and connect to an adjacent area. So for example, one of the things we've noticed is that if this person is missing an arm, or excuse me, a hand, for example, when we touch their face, they may still get that sensation at that time. Now notice in our diagram here, the face region of the brain in our strip of tissue here is very close to where the hand is. So what we think is happening is the axons that lead to the face region of the brain have sprouted over and have physically connected to the hand region of the primary somatosensory cortex. So thus, when someone touches their face, not only are they receiving messages in this part of the brain and getting the sensation that someone's touched my face, but signals are also being sent to the region where that missing body part is. So therefore, it gives them the sensation that their hand is receiving some bit of information, and they're able to kind of sense that at some level. So we think it's a really interesting one here. We think it's the sprouting of the axons that lead to those sensations as they have attached. So it's kind of interesting. According to research, about 7 out of 10 people who are missing a limb experience either pain or even movement of that limb. That research comes from Milzak in 2005. In other words, about 70% of people who have an amputation or are missing a limb still experience this sensation or are able to experience this sensation. So that is absolutely fascinating. Research has also revealed that people, when they lose a limb and get a prosthetic, they have those really amazing prosthetics out there in the market right now, that seems to cause this sensation, these phantom sensations, to fade away. So for some reason, once you get a prosthetic, it seems to eliminate or weaken those sensations over time. So wow, really interesting stuff there. Like I said, one of my favorite topics of all time. All right, so thank you very much for listening to our short lecture here on the phantom limb. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you online.